folks, you know where you are. You are at Meet the Leaders. In this case, we are at Ultraviolette Automotive and we are going to meet Narayan and Niraj. We are meeting Maverick and Iceman. We are here with the Maverick, Narayan, and I think with so many cool names, Narayan. One of the variants is called Recon.
Yeah.
One of the colors is called Shadow. And the motorcycle itself is called F77.
Right. Yeah.
And you are called Ultraviolette Automotive.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm called Rohan, not as cool.
Not as cool.
Varun, not at all. So let's just stick with you and your names. And then again, there are two founders to Ultraviolette Automotive. By the way, there is Maverick Narayan and then there is Iceman Niraj. We'll get to talk to him too. But what's the deal with the names?
I mean, Niraj and I have been fans of aviation from a very long time. And funny you should mention Maverick and Iceman because I think that's what we used to be in school. Both of us competing for the top rank in class. And that was the equation then. Now, of course, we are more collaborative than competitive in nature. Yeah, so that goes back a long way.
You and Niraj were in school and college together.
Yes.
How many years do you know
I think
Niraj?
over a couple of decades now, right? From primary school all the way to high school and then university.
So how did you all decide on coming together and just making Ultraviolette?
So
Why not infrared?
Yeah, that's a good question.
that was an option, possibly for different segments of vehicles in the future maybe. But
Okay.
F is our line of fast vehicles from the whole fighter jet series, right?
Right.
We've all been fans of the F-14s, F-18s, F-22s, 35s.
Raptor.
Yeah, you can see a lot of these
Yeah.
hanging in the background as well. But why F77? Like, why that number? Why all of that?
So, funny story, F-77 was an internal code name. The 7th generation was when we were finally convinced with the chassis architecture.
Yeah.
The second 7 was something over the technical aspects on the battery 7.
So wait, it's not just cool names then, Narayan. It's also, I mean, there is a reason and a logic to the cool names here. Where's the focus for Ultraviolette products?
So,
Is it on design? Is it on
Right.
function?
I think 3 aspects: design, technology, and user experience. And these are 3 non-negotiable or no compromise approach that we would take throughout the journey of Ultraviolette.
And I was told by your team, I'll refrain from the name, that you're the creative thinker and Niraj is the critical thinker.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Both of us wear both hats in different situations.
About wearing hats, how has your journey been? You started in early 2017, I believe.
I came back to India in 2015 from Europe. Niraj was shuttling between US and India at that point. What had happened by then was Tesla had proven that if you approach the product the right way, you can disrupt what is a very strong legacy-driven industry. Plus the prices of lithium-ion batteries or cells itself dropping from $1,000 per kilowatt hour to now closer to the 200s, 150s, 200s. We could see this trajectory by 2014-15. Spent a lot of time in US, spent time in Southeast Asia as well because the whole scooter industry was booming there. And our cumulative understanding came into defining the first product.
But I have a question. Like, did you all always decide on a motorcycle? Because a lot of the industry was moving on to scooters and...
No, we drew down to motorcycles in a very logic-driven way. One is, of course, we love motorcycles. This was 2002. We had a car, but Dad wanted a convenient motorcycle to go to office and back. CBZ had just launched. I'm sure you agree that defined the start of performance motorcycles in India. And of course, parents are buying a motorcycle with the intent that the son inherits that bike 3-4 years down
If it's a
the line.
CBZ, for sure.
So I had just about managed to convince him. Then the store guy walks up and he's like, mileage is 80 versus 40, 45 on the CBZ.
Okay.
So we rode a Splendor home.
Oh, no. That's a sad ending to the story.
But it set a good base because once I got the bike, saved up some pocket money as well. And Mission Impossible 2 had launched then.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise was on the, was it a Triumph?
Yeah.
One of them on a Triumph, the other on a Ducati. So my Splendor became that matte black paint and clip-ons. And
Oh, I can't believe this.
yeah. Now coming to the business side of things. From an external community, if you just look at a volume perspective, then of course scooters are higher in sales volumes than motorcycles. The other aspect is solving for higher forms of technology also sets you to play across the spectrum. So we are typically talking about systems 8 to 10 times more powerful. So what works at that side of the spectrum can't scale up linearly. A lot of our IP is on the battery tech and the powertrain side.
I'm realizing that I'm getting ahead of myself here and not letting you answer the questions that I'm asking. Why not infrared?
Let me get to ultraviolet first. So by now we had decided it's going to be motorcycles. The French spelling of violet, was something we drew down upon as something that can possibly remain timeless, at some point define what the legacy of the brand could also be.
Yeah.
And violet is also one word that is pronounced more or less the same in multiple languages globally. So the scope of mispronouncing like my name is Narayan Subramaniam, and from Japan to Germany to Sweden, I've had all sorts of...
When you are going to be releasing not a scooter, when you're going to be releasing not an ordinary motorcycle, but something that inspires, people aspire to buy, something which is performance oriented, as a founder, how did the conversations turn out to be with your investors? Did it make unit economic sense? Did it feel like being at the Shark Tank?
I think we've probably been through over 1,000 conversations with various types of investors from all parts of the world. We started the company with about 3-4 of us and some money that both of us had saved while working. And so the first 1 year went, we were bootstrapped. So before the first investor meeting, we didn't want to go with an Excel sheet or just a brainstormed chart of how the company will progress. We wanted to go with something functional. So the first conversation we had, credibility came through. That these guys not just know in theory what to do, but they've proven some part of it.
Okay. Did that make you rich? People just end up thinking that once investment comes in, the founders get super rich. Is that true?
Absolutely not. We didn't draw salary for the first 4 years of the...
That's unreal. And that's closer to the truth.
But then right from earning in euro or dollars to going to zero for the foreseeable future was something we were comfortable with because we were confident that
it'll work.
It's a learning process and something is going to come out of it.
So it's all coming out of the passion and the spark of getting it right and getting it done, what no one else is doing, something different, right? Breaking the norm there.
Right.
I can imagine the conversations back then in the family where you're saying, I'm not going to draw a salary, and parents, I believe, would have been furious, yet supportive again. Right. How was that journey for you?
Parents were super supportive. Both our parents are doctors.
Oh, wow.
We come from that background, nothing to do with business. What though I think helped give comfort to parents was we didn't forsake our education, and each of us had close to half a decade or a decade of work experience as well. So they, I think at the back of their minds were certain that if something goes wrong, there is possibility to get back to the industry. And not a possibility for us. Once you're down that path, it's no more option. But I think that fact helped them.
I will change sides and I will take ultraviolet side here.
They're supposed to be on this side.
I have left PowerDrift for a while.
Okay.
I have some tough questions for you because you came to the ride without me. If he's all ears to hearing from the journalist, tell me, what was it that sold the motorcycle to you, and what is it that you want to tell him to fix so that it will be sold?
Like, I consider myself a purist in terms of motorcycling.
Right.
Motorcycles hook me. And to finally see a performance electric motorcycle which does its job. And I think for everybody who's interested in motorcycles, we always have this thing like test ride and, decide.
Sure.
So I think you're going to get a lot of test rides.
Adding to what you were saying, I think one thing that not only you, but the community itself gave us feedback unanimously was, it's a motorcycle. First impression when you see it is not that it's a EV.
Yeah.
And we were super happy. Yeah. Our intent, it's a motorcycle first.
Yeah.
It happens to be electric.
But hey, listen, I want to come back there.
Yeah, you have.
What is that one thing that was the general consensus in the journalists should be tinkered around or fixed on the F77?
See, as someone who wants to buy a product, for me, it's always going to be the price. Right. And I'm sure you will get that question as well. Like
3.8 lakh rupees is where it starts. Market in India is very, very price sensitive.
Sure.
Yeah. Who is the Ultraviolette F77 for?
So there's several ways to approach this. So it's easy to say it's a premium priced product, but I would say that's the last part. When you say premium, let's look at every single part of the motorcycle itself, right from the manufacturing processes used to the quality, to the testing process, to the whole user experience, to the whole connected technology suite coming in, right? Theoretically, you can remove certain or reduce or compromise on some of these aspects. But then are we doing what we set out to do? right? We set out to do something that the industry isn't currently doing. A no compromise approach, right? And we've doubled the range. Price hasn't doubled.
Now, do you want to ask the fun question?
No, but he was answering one of the questions, and then I had another question pop up in my head, and so I forgot that question.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I want to circle it back to investment.
Right.
You know, two of the names that pop up when it comes to...
Yeah, this is what is popping in my head.
He's not done his research.
That's your question.
Yeah,
which is
go on, complete
Dulquer
it.
Salman, Ranvijay.
Right.
You have celebrities who are your endorsers, product endorsers.
Sure.
They believe in the product and are also investors.
Right.
How does that go about?
When it comes to Ultraviolette, the celebrity angle is kept aside. They're more coming from a passion for motorcycles.
Both of them are correct. Motorheads.
Dulquer was the first investor in the company, incidentally. And I think what Dulquer saw when he met us was the dream of doing something that everyone wishes products stand for or companies offer things, right?
Do you want to grill him a little more? Or I've got one fun question.
Yeah, please go
One
ahead.
fun question. We're doing this on a Friday. We're doing this on a Friday, and Friday evening is usually when we chill. So are you the guy who like to chill on a Friday evening, or it's work?
My chill is usually sports. So I play basketball and ultimate frisbee.
Okay.
A lot more active until 6 months back. I'm married, so yeah, my wife, she's also a designer from NID, so we met while in college.
I
And
did not let you answer that question either, right? While you are at it, again, I'm going to cut you here. Sorry, guys. Kickboxing.
Right.
That was also one of your favorites.
I was a kickboxing instructor at one point.
What? Really?
Yeah, so this was post-engineering, 2009. Yeah, I wanted some extra pocket money.
Dislodging jaws for extra pocket money.
No, I was an instructor, so my job was to...
Not dislocate jaws.
Okay. So Varun here is a motorcyclist, and then there is another M in his life that I know of, which is
MMA.
MMA. That's it.
wow.
Yeah. I've been following MMA. In fact, I've been doing boxing as a hobby for the past 14 years.
Oh, wow, cool.
Are you in the 5 AM club, 4 AM club?
5 a.m. to get to bed on some time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So it's the reverse.
Yeah.
So I go to bed by 2 or 3 and I'm up by about 8:39. That's my current cycle.
Okay.
And I think also being a designer, like we get sucked into that world. You want that peace and quiet to be creative. And coming to Fridays, I think we've lost the concept of a weekend. On a weekly basis is when operational work is happening at Ultraviolette. Weekends is when we get time to look into the growth of the company. Luckily, we are doing what we love doing. So it's not too stressful.
But I'm sure your wife is not loving
So
your company so much.
being a designer, she understands. She's a UX designer.
Okay.
And,
Okay. Do you imagine a 4-wheeler, an EV 4-wheeler? Are you open to everything?
I think in principle, we call ourselves a technology first company. We are not a typical motorcycle company. The first product, of course, is everything to do with motorcycles and all that DNA going in. But whole world of mobility is something we would be interested in. But like I mentioned, technology, design, user experience would be the driving factors in what we want to get
Understood. On that note, big congratulations. The user experience that you speak of, he was really going on and on about it yesterday. And the second thing being, this is the best looking EV motorcycle that we have ever seen in India.
Very sharp, smart.
And we're very proud that it's straight from India. It's straight from here, Namma, Bengaluru. So big congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And that opens the door for rapid fire.
Yeah, go for it.
Chai or coffee?
Tea.
Veg or non-veg?
I am a vegetarian.
Motorcycle or scooter? What kind of a question?
I didn't know. I mean, you get so much information.
But again, Monday or Friday?
No difference.
No difference it makes, yeah. So, okay, your favorite book?
My favorite book would be How Things Work. When I was about 6 or 8, Dad got a whole volume of how things work, right from how transistors or radios work to how bats use echolocation to navigate even though they can't see. So that, I think, really sparked my curiosity. And I think what I am as a person today, I would attribute to just going through those, whether I understood or not, and
That's
bug everyone around me to help me understand what.
Wow, that's a big thing.
The greatest motorcycle for you ever made? Ultraviolette.
77.
Apart from that?
Apart from that, I would say the Panigale 899 or the 1299.
More range or more performance?
I think depends on segment of vehicles. If it's thinking motorcycles, then I think what we've done is a right balance of both.
on the note of both, I think it's important that we talk to both here. Thanks a lot for your time. Yeah, it'll be great to talk to Niraj.
Absolutely. Nice catching up.
So, wait. Right then, we are back with me. All right. Yes, I think this is the right configuration here. Folks, we have Niraj here with us. Iceman, can we call you that? All along through the course of this interview?
Iceman.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool name. I'm okay with that.
And your team told me that you participated in 30 contests across colleges. You won all 30 of them. You earlier founded a drone company. I'm not wanting to call the word nerd, but it's on the screen here. Are you it?
I guess so. I think, see, I won the competition. So Narayan also was part of the same team. So, back in college and during our engineering days, we took part in these creative engineering competitions. We built different kinds of bots, robots, cars, planes, drones, submarines. And we're talking about, yes, we're talking about using lithium-ion batteries way back in 2003, 2004, 2005, all during that entire time. Right, so that's actually the origin story of Ultraviolette.
What is your position in the company? The CTO?
Yes.
The problem with that is that it's not an easy conversation now. Yeah.
Right.
Question that pops to my head straight off to be asking a CTO is, it's an EV motorcycle, it's a performance EV motorcycle, it's looking ahead of its time. Why a chain drive?
It's very easy to sort of tune up. It's very easy to sort of fix. Even the chain tension adjustment can be done without specific additional tools. It's inexpensive to maintain, and anyone, a roadside vendor can also do this, right? And it's also sort of resistant to pebbles, grime, those kinds of problems, which would be much harder to deal with when you're talking about belt drives. And belt drives do get expensive, at least the better ones, right? It was a very conscious, deliberate choice on our part to go with the chain drive, and it made sense for this motorcycle.
Like coming from a technology point of view as well, I want to talk about charging.
Right.
You've got 2 chargers, but there is no fast charging system in place.
Right. If you look at the vehicle, the connector that is there, it does support fast charging. And the limitation that we see is more from the point of where you're charging a vehicle, right? The electrical socket that exists in most homes and apartments, right? If we talk about the standard charger, it would work with a 5-6 amp kind of electrical socket, and that's the limitation, right? The next boost charger that we have aligns with a 3 kilowatt or a 15 amp typical electrical socket in buildings, right? And so we have to align ourselves to be very accessible from anywhere. Even if you have a simple 5-6 amp socket, you should be able to charge the vehicle, and that's what the standard charger does.
But you do it with your own proprietorship charger. It's not CCS. Can you, for our audience, clarify your stance and what CCS is?
Right. India is moving in the direction of, IS 17017 or the IEC 62196. Actually, we are not working on a proprietary standard. This is actually what companies are going to sort of adopt, right? And we can't go down the route of, let's say, fully, CCS type 2 charging, which works in other parts of the world. But when we talk about India, the entire ecosystem is aligning towards this one connector, one form factor, one protocol. And what then happens is ultraviolet chargers would work with other vehicles, and our vehicles would also work with public infra from other companies, right? So that was the idea behind going with this standard.
One of the big things about the motorcycle is the range, 307, but we had this offline chat where you guys did another ARAI cycle and it bumped up even more.
On the F77 Recon, the range went up to 318 kilometers as per the ARAI IDC drive cycle.
Correct.
You should talk about fire also. He says he's the CTO. Can you talk to him about fire?
Absolutely. I think a lot of conversation needs to happen about battery safety, right? There's an insane amount of engineering that has gone in to make these battery packs super safe, right? We sort of break it down into 5 different types of engineering and sort of mechanisms that are operating both independently as well as cooperating with each other, right? There's software safety, which means there are protection mechanisms that kick in microseconds. And then we have electronic systems, right? These are redundant. Even if the software is not functioning, it can independently take a decision. Then we have electrical systems, what typically called fuses. We have at a cell level, at a pack level. Then there's a thermal management or the thermal solution here, right? Which is ensuring evenness of temperatures across the modules. And then the last, but not, it's the most critical one, is the structural or the mechanical protection, right? So the entire battery pack is a large aluminum enclosure. The entire thing acts as, a heat sink, first of all, right? And it also acts as a sort of structural protection for the cells within the battery pack, right? And the team that has done this, a lot of them come from sort of the aviation, aerospace background. It wouldn't be possible to sort of get to this stage without that level of engineering.
You know, in aviation, you have something known as APU,
Right.
which is the auxiliary power unit.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And the ultraviolet F77,
Right.
it's got the main battery pack, and it's also got like a secondary power unit, like a secondary battery.
Yes.
So what's the difference between the two in terms of function?
This is the 12-volt lead-acid battery that is there on the motorcycle. It does two things. One, it powers the electronics, and sort of even when the vehicle sort of goes into sleep, there's this backup running to power the electronics in the display. The second is for transient use cases where the ABS kicks in, only under certain circumstances where, extreme braking. And that sort of eliminates the need for a very high-powered DC-DC converter, which would also consume space.
I might need a diploma certificate after this engineering class.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to keep up. One thing that Varun told me is it's a heavy motorcycle.
Yes.
Is it a heavy motorcycle?
If you look at the curb weight, yes, you'll see that, 190 something, 200 kilos on the Recon, right? The size of the battery packs that we're talking about, right? 7 kilowatt hour, 10 kilowatt hour. It's not something that, that comes light. And we've made some very conscious choices even when the motorcycle is parked. Sort of the lean angle when your side stand is out. So you don't have to pick it up, right? And even at slow conditions, you have your park assist mode, both forward and reverse. And even the dynamics of the vehicle have been adapted to deal with its weight, right? And despite the weight being, on the higher side, you will not feel it once you're riding the motorcycle, and that's something.
Right. So it's not in the wrong place, and the user experience, like Maverick was saying, is taken care of. Can we have an F99 just for ourselves? Because that would handle even better, I would say.
Yeah, lighter, better, lots of carbon fiber. You can maybe take some for your car.
Yeah, nice try there. The F99 right now is sort of an internal platform. It actually represents something that, Ultraviolette has always been all about, right? Which is pushing the boundaries in terms of technology, in terms of engineering, in terms of science, and our creative outlet as well.
What has been the most joyous, rewarding moment, if you can remember, and tell us one?
There was one very recently, right? While we were preparing for the media rides recently, there were 30 bikes that came to our R&D facility, right? And the bikes arrived at about 10:30 in the night. We had spent a long day solving so many problems from the tech side, software, mechanical, and we were talking about the F99, the next platform, all of that. And at the end of the day, it had been a strenuous day. But when those bikes arrived, right, to see 30 of them lined up, and to realize that all of these are going to be out on the roads, right, in a couple of days, just very refreshing, went back happy, all set for the next.
Very nice. I can imagine the whole visual of it.
You seem like a very calm, composed guy, but do you ever get angry? Like is your angry this calm?
No, this is not even close to.
He's looking around, so he definitely gets. You could be on that. This is technology. It can be so frustrating, right? As an extrapolation of his question, designers, let's not take names here. Designers love to go on their own tangent.
Right.
And then they will create a Miura, Bertoni.
Right.
But then the engine has to be put in there, and the battery pack has to be put in there. Clearly, there's a lot of...
I know what you're trying to get at. As an engineer, when I watched the design team, put together from the initial sketches of the F77 all the way into the refinement stage, there were hundreds of sketches, and they're trying to see what kind of emotion each design sort of invokes in a person who looks at it. But there's a reason for it. Understanding that reason and spending time with the team has been quite rewarding, I'd say, in that. Right. It's like creativity and art coming together with science and engineering.
I'm glad you put it as there is a reason for it. I think Leonardo da Vinci, it's at his museum in Italy, where one of his famous quotes is, creativity and engineering are different forms of the same expression. When you have a product looking like this, working like this, it's only right to ask, who has been your inspiration?
There's no one single source of inspiration, right? It has been there are individuals, there are companies across the world in the past, in the recent past, or way back, where people have made a massive difference in terms of bringing out products.
You're putting together something which is a story, and the story of hardworking people here. What kind of people do you look for as you're expanding the horizons? What is the quality that you look for in people?
So what we started to do is we sought out by ourselves. We would go on LinkedIn and go elsewhere on different platforms and start searching for individuals who have very strong core competency and skills in one particular industry or domain, and sort of also have hobbies on the other side. And they're sort of, pushing the limits on that as well.
Like kickboxing for Narayan. Like what is your hobby?
I end up swimming. It sort of helps me relax and calm down while my head is underwater.
And on that topic, what does your day look like?
My day starts a little late. It ends very late in the night. So I end up sleeping at 3 or 4 a.m. And, it starts about 10 or 11. Once I'm at work, it's just an sort of onslaught of chaos that I typically have to deal with. Like Narayan was talking about, our weekdays are very operational. And on the weekends, we spend time on more long-term activities, right? And that's where hiring and those kinds of things come into picture.
Are you hiring?
Absolutely, we are hiring.
Would you hire Varun or would you hire me?
It's with someone young, right? Someone with a lot of passion.
I think he's going to talk to Narayan. Yeah, I think he's going to be me.
I'm on LinkedIn, so I have one up.
You're from computer science.
Yes.
Computer science and this stitches well together. You're not a dropout.
He's the topper.
Yes, I'm more of that type.
It just changes the demeanor in which I will sit here and talk to you.
I was like, I'm not going to study computer science if I already know what they're going to teach. And so I was like, okay, what is the next closest thing to study? And there was electronics. And that's where, all of these other projects started to happen during our engineering days with Narayan and the rest of the team. Quit my first job to start a sort of startup which was trying to build autonomous quadcopters and drones. I'm talking about higher levels of abstraction, recognizing roads, surroundings. It was always this thing back and forth between hardware and pure software.
There could be a possibility also that there could be just a toy drone from Ultraviolette.
I'd say more than a toy.
More. Sorry, I was just unsure of that one word and you picked on it.
So what do you do on a Friday?
I go for a swim or I end up reading. That's sort of my way to...
What's your favorite book?
There's this book called Innovators by Walter Isaacson. Isaac's known for, his biographies around Steve Jobs and, a bunch of people.
Some people find it very difficult to read because their motorcyclists typically have it difficult to read.
Right.
Is that true or false?
I'm not going to answer that.
Do you read?
I do.
So it's false.
False.
In this room.
But I'm a 30.
Can we come to true and false questions or rapid fire questions? Rapid fire questions. Okay. The first one is Sachin or Sehwag?
I'd say Sachin, grown up watching Sachin.
Cricket or football?
Football?
Favorite football team?
Yeah, it's usually Brazil or Argentina, but yeah.
He's saying Messi.
Yes.
Yeah,
But you're going to ask that, right? Messi or...
favorite football player?
Yeah, now I'll say it's Messi.
Lionel Messi.
The greatest motorcycle ever built according to you, apart from the F-77?
I'm not going to take any names. See, I think the idea behind the F-77 is to be on that list, but you can see the years of blood, sweat and tears that has come together to create this bike and this machine.
Books or movies?
Books for me completely.
Chai or coffee?
Both. I enjoy both. Coffee is for the mornings and then I shift to chai later in the day.
But do you party like...
Not really.
CTOs don't party at all?
No. Some CTOs party, I'm sure. There are people out there who party, but I'm sort of the type of person who gets their energy by just isolating themselves and sort of going into my zone with my books and podcasts.
Tell us something about the Ultraviolette F-77 or the F-99 that you have not told anybody except your co-team.
Wow.
It's a great question.
It's awesome if you can get him to answer that. Something that nobody knows.
No, so there are things that we have intentionally sort of obscured for a long time, right? Because we know that there's competition watching what we're doing out there. For example, we were looking at battery packs that NASA uses for their astronauts and the life support systems. It's so expensive that it can't be used. It would cost more than the motorcycle itself. And we said, what can we do to solve the same problem but with materials that are commonly available in India? And there are things in there that are quite magical, right? And we are quite proud of it, but we had to sort of underplay it for the longest time,
Right.
So that let people realize once.
Braking regen, does it exist on F-77 or not? It does.
Yes.
does.
So what is there on the bike right now as part of the production version is 3 levels of regenerative braking. We have actually internally on our vehicles have about 10 levels of regen, right? But when we roll it out as part of our, firmware upgrades, etc., we do a lot of testing and validation before we roll it out.
Hats off to you, Niraj, for sitting in front of two blokes like us. It takes a lot to be talking to us, especially when you are who you are. And a big kudos for doing what you have done, putting together a product like this. I would like to call it a day, Friday, as your business Friday. Yes.